Welcome to Oxygen Not Included. My name is Nilaus and this is a short tutorial, and I'm going to do many more tutorials for Oxygen Not Included. So if you want to see more tutorials, be sure to let me know in the comment section what you would like to do, what you'd like me to do. So today we're going to look at one of the more abstract things. So it's not about building a beautiful design, but it's about making use of the priority system in Oxygen Not Included. So the priority system in Oxygen Not Included is basically there are three things we're going to cover, and then we're going to talk about how they interact. There is the duplicant priority up here, where you for each duplicant set their priority. This is basically their affinity to tasks, and they range in 6 tiers. That's still not the way I do it, and it goes from very high, high, standard, low, very low, and disallowed. That's the one part. The second part is actually the task. When you press P, then you get an overlay, and you can then dictate what kind of priority it is. Funny how these two are prioritized. 10, 9, and the higher the better. So priority 1 is a very low priority. So how do these things interact? That's the first thing you really need to know. And I think from my perspective, intuitively, I'm looking at this, and this is something I interact with all the time. So I kind of want this one to be like, all right, I want this one to be 9, so get to work on it. That's actually not how it works. And that's the part that's been frustrating for me until I figured it out. And now that I figured it out, I want to help you figuring it out. So if you look at a task, let's have a random dupe. This guy, Sabatron, what is your... Okay, lavatory, we're not going to be watching you go to lavatory. Let's look at correlated instead. What are your tasks? Construction supply, great. Let's actually give them a lot of tasks so that they actually have something to do. We can give them some there, some task here, and then some build tasks as well. Okay. There, now you have some of those tasks, and I'm also going to give you some sweeping tasks and some mopping tasks here. Perfect. So we now have various different tasks for them to do, aside from sort of the normal things to do. Let's have a look at Sabatron. Okay, let's have a look at someone who's actually doing some useful stuff right now. There we go. Just too nasty. Well, you are just too nasty here, mopping up piss water at the bottom of the base. Well, your priority, and this is where we can then see how it works. So this is how the priority system is dictated. The highest number is the one that they get. So when they're done with the task, they will look through their to-do list and then pick the highest one at any given time. So here we have 35.34. That also means that if something changes, like this one is technically higher, he's not going to stop doing it until he completes the task or gets interrupted by breathing or food or something like that. So he's doing mopping, and it's 35. First, just to nasty's tidying priority is 30. That's standard. Then his mopping priority is 5. That's the task priority. So basically at this point, it's standard dupe priority, standard mop priority, and tidying errands have a hidden priority of 0.35. So they are actually a high priority. The last one is a hidden priority built into the system depending on what task it is. So that some tasks are more important. If we go up here and look at a supply, this is 0.4. All ranching errands are 0.4. That's even more important. And construction supply is only 0.3, so that's very low. But those should be considered the tiebreakers, basically. Oh, here's one, store polluted water. Store polluted water is very, very low priority, 0.01. And that just means that if you have, and you can see here, the 35.001, 35.003, and up here we have the ranching 36. That's because it's both a higher priority. The one thing that you should be seeing at this point, which I think is very interesting, is that I'm just going to enable this one, is that you can see that the dupe priority jumps in tiles of 10 or in leaps of 10, while the task priority goes from 1 to 10. So even if I have an affinity determined here, if this one's high here, then it goes to 40, then it doesn't really matter what the task priority is. I can set the task priority here to 1, and let me just get the just too nasty out of here. Just get him out, and let's see if what he wants to do. Oh, yep, he just jumps back in, and then we go like, but it's priority 1. Why would you do that? And the thing is, He has a high affinity. That means he gets 40 for the operating tasks. And on top of that, his priority is only 1. And operating tasks have 0.29 of the hidden priority. That means no matter how high I have the mopping task or digging task or the supplying task, nothing will make him go. I cannot make him go anywhere else by using these priority. There's nothing that will make him go there. Let's prove it. Maybe that someone else will take over from him instead. Nope, he just doesn't care. So let's look at his priority again. He just doesn't care, because this is 39.03, but it's still lower than the 41.29. So this is one of the things, for example, when you have, this is the most specific example, when you have manual generators in the beginning, they will always keep running on those damn things. No matter what, you can't undo it by just setting a lower priority, because they will go there if they have an affinity for operating. And operating is a lot of things. It's also like rock crushing. So it's also metal refineries, and it's stuff like the sludge press. So it's actually some important things that are there. So what are we going to do then? Before we just talk a bit about how we should address now this newfound knowledge and how we can design our priorities the best possible way, there's one more really hidden feature, and that's under here. Priorities, there's a little cogwheel up here, and this one says enable proximity. And basically this means that instead of using this small priority, the one that's 0 point something, then it'll do something else instead. I'll enable it. It is designed mainly for big bases, or with when you are actively doing priority management. I think that's also really important. So if you don't touch this at all, then you don't touch it at all, and you don't generally use the priority range here, then this one, the hidden priority that is enabled now by disabling the proximity, is going to kind of save you by implicitly saying that stuff like storing polluted water is not as important as running a life support machinery or something like that. So this one is mainly if you helps cut down on travel time in areas with lots of high priority errands, and it's useful for large colonies. I would sort of more say, if you're managing this one actively and you're managing your priorities actively, I would also rely less on the hidden parameter. Let's find a dupe and see what you're doing. Sabaton, life support supply to Sabaton. This is amazing that we actually caught a life support. Let me just check what the life support is when we disable this, because life support should then have a higher implicit. All life support is 0.5. Okay, so that's the highest one among the third row here. All life support is 0.5. So life support are the most important ones. But if I go over here and go over here, enable proximity. Now the last one here. Okay, let's just start it. Did I not start it? Enable proximity. Yep. All right, Sabaton, what do you got? Now everything here has all storing commands are 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5, 0.5. So now there's no distinction between the kind of task sort of implicitly in the system, and what you need to do is prioritize it through your priority system and your dupe priority. However, on the other side, it should also, and that's something you can't really see, it should prevent them from going like really, really far away. I think that in the original game, I would always enable this priority, because this priority is, the distances are so big. But I don't think it's actually necessary right now. The colonies are smaller, and having them sort of have an implicit priority towards different types of tasks is nice to have that built in. Because one of the things that I've been looking at, and this is coming into some of the problems, there are two big problems with this system when you start using it. One is life support. If you do not have, or if you have this enabled, then they will not do life support tasks unless you mark all of them high and toggling also high. They'll simply just not do it. They just don't care, because they'd rather do tidying or mopping or whatever else you've assigned them to. So this is why I always say life support and toggling high, because if I need to toggle something, that's probably because the water is starting to flow the wrong way and I need to stop it immediately. So toggling, life support, always high. And the other one is in terms of the mechatronic engineering. If you're going to build a mechatronic engineer, like anything for mechatronics, like sweeping or conveyor rails, and of course you want to do that because it's automation, then you need a mechatronic engineer. Mechatronic engineering is here. There we go. You are now a mechatronic engineer. Oh, perfect. And this guy, if you look at the skill distribution, it's supplying, it's operating. Let's look at Skippy. It's super obvious that Skippy would have something like, okay, Skippy, tidying and operating, sure. But that means if I build this one, if I build a new one, auto sweeper, X0 can do it. That's construction supply. Yes, construction supply. Let's get this one supplied. There's a lot of noise here. Let's have a look at it. And okay, I guess X0 got distracted. But we should also see that we need a mechatronic to actually build it. And the mechatronic is idle, is doing other things, such as this one. Now we have that one done. And look at that. Our priority here, no one comes in to do it. And it's priority 9. No one comes in because the only one who can do this, only one who has the skill, is conveyor rail construction. Okay, it's actually, maybe it's only conveyor rails. I don't know. We can do this one just to make sure that that's also the case. No matter what I prioritize that, they can come in and supply them, but they can't build them. Because the only one who can do it is Skippy. And Skippy would rather run on this one. Okay, that's not Skippy, but Skippy would also rather run on this one, even at priority 1, than he would go in here. Tile. That one. Wire. Conveyor rail. Errands. See, not allowed by schedule. Outside world. Requires learn skill. Requires learn skill. And Skippy is the only one, but for him... Skippy, for him, it's a very low priority build. This one is only a standard build, so even stuff like cooking supplies and construction is higher priority. For that to ever be a thing, you have to make sure that your mechatronic also gets an affinity for building. And as soon as you do that, let him... As soon as he does that, he gets reallocated to build the conveyor rails, because now it is something he has affinity for. So I've had many a conveyor rail never get built, because and even at priority 9, because they just never got around to it, because the only ones who could do it did not have the affinity. So let's talk about recommendations about how you should manage it. Well, as I just said, when you get a mechatronic, give them an affinity for this, or bump down the affinity for everything else. Aside from this, giving miners and diggers, diggers and builders, giving those in pairs, good. In general here, lower the discrepancy. Don't go all in and go, really, this is high, this is low, this is everywhere. Even this one might be a bit extreme. Basically, set life support and toggling always too high. Take some of the things. You should basically look at this one as in, if there is ever a task of this type, you should do this ahead of everything else. So, as a doctor, you want the doctor to do doctoring tasks and not start supplying or building or anything else. Just drop what you have, do doctoring tasks. Same with cooking, I would say. I'd really like my cook to always be cooking. Actually, just an affinity is nice. Decorating as well. Something you don't want anyone else to do decorating, so I disabled everyone else. Researching, I have a dedicated researcher doing the research. It's going to be fast. No one else does any research task. And something like that, farming, ranching, they go hand in hand, especially the way I build it. So they're also good. But at this point, as long as there's so farming and ranching things is something that when there's a task, you do it and then you're idle. So they can start doing big digging and building and or supplying and construction. But things like operating, it's the most difficult one, because you will often have some operating tasks that are just continuous. Do I want to make iron to iron ore? Sure, just always continuous. That means they will never get done with it. Or if you have sludge presses that are enabled, then they will just keep going on this. And that's really where you need to be careful is that you don't block out things by using this too widely. And then consider whether you want to use the priority here, proximity, or not. I'm actually thinking I'm going to be trying it without the proximity, because I don't have that big bases anymore now that we're playing spaced out, and therefore I think I don't need to do that. That's the idea, at least. So I hope that was useful in sort of deciphering the mysteries of the priority system. It took a while for me to figure this out, but as soon as I figured it out, it made absolute sense, and now they are less stupid when they do things, because they actually do the stuff that I want them to do more often than not, which is amazing, right? So if you like this tutorial, be sure to hit the like button. Let me know in the comment section below if you have any additions or comments to what I've been going through. If you have any other topics that you would like for me to cover, then be sure to let me know in the comment section below. And if you want to watch more Oxygen Not Included here on the channel, then I'm streaming live on Twitch. It's twitch.tv/Nilaus, link in the description below. I'm streaming some Oxygen Not Included Let's Play. I'm also having my Let's Play here on YouTube, so you can also watch it right here. I'm gonna go very heavy on the Oxygen Not Included content, because I think the new Spaced Out DLC is super, super cool, and I'm having so much fun with it. So if you want to watch more and you're new to the channel, consider subscribing for more Oxygen Not Included and Factorio content and other stuff. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, stay effective.